welcome to another episode of Forward Momentum. On this one, I'm going to show you how to change out traction arm bushings. Now, right here is the one I've already done. And whenever I have a left and a right, I like to try to do one ahead of time, so I'm telling you guys exactly how to do it on the one that I'm filming. You can see that I repainted it. I sanded off a lot of the rust that was there, and I repainted it black. It doesn't need to look perfect or anything. It's not a show vehicle, I don't care. I went with Nolethane bushings, and this is the one that's the real pain right here. So I'm going to show you guys my method of getting this out. There's numerous methods of doing it. You could pull the whole spindle or a knuckle. You could pull the whole thing off, which would be a huge pain in the butt. Or you can do it on the vehicle. You're going to have to take off the wheel, rear brake disc, the rear brake, some other things. But nonetheless, I'll show you exactly how to do it. Every step of the way, every tool that I use, the size of the tool that I use, and of course torque values at the end. So let's do it. I have some visitors here. What in the world are you doing? Base of it like that, and it came off. So that's what they look like. I know a lot of people are a little concerned about running wheel spacers, but I hardly ever take these off. All right, 17 mil. And they should go by hand from there. Just kind of get it out of the way. And next you're gonna need to get that rotor off right there. So you're gonna have to release your e-brake. Mine's a little slow because of my manual swap. So holding that. If you can't slide this thing off easy, you're gonna need to align, take off your plug, and go and turn the star nut that's in there to loosen the brake pads that are inside this little drum here for the emergency brake. Don't force it off. Trying to get it away from the hub a bit. These things can get pretty rusted in there. There we go, you hear that noise. Now it's loose. So it should just slide right off. Because we're actually going to bend this dust shield away to get access to this lower adjuster right here. But don't take any of this apart. And what you're doing is gaining access to this thing. Right there. So just bend it up like that. Okay, next you need a big long extension and a 10 mil. You're gonna take this cover off here. I'm doing it one-handed, so forgive me. And right. Give it a pull. Now we have access to these, which are 17 mil. So you need a wrench for this nut. 17, and then a 17 socket. They should be torqued to 55, so it shouldn't be that difficult to get off. It's gonna fall because I'm only got one hand. All right, there we go. Excellent. You'll want to clean those up. They'll probably be pretty nasty. See that? So clean them up or replace them. This thing should just swing down now. Now we'll get after this one right here. There we go. This is some kind of ball joint removal tool, and I wish I had the part number. I bought it so long ago, it doesn't even have anything on it. It fits really well right here. What you're gonna do is you're gonna push it from this side. You can push it from the other way too, it doesn't matter. And it's gonna bulge, and then I'm gonna keep turning this adjustment on the end, and I'm gonna keep pushing it out, and I'm gonna keep slicing it. And eventually, it's going to give way and come out. You're gonna wanna get a 1 1/4 inch hole saw. And now make sure this is bent enough. And you're gonna stick that right on there and you're gonna start grinding away at that thing. So the hole saw relieved everything. I was just cranking on this and it popped loose. Look at that. So the whole thing, except for the sleeve, ejected itself. Take your hacksaw blade, put it through, and then tighten it. And then the idea is to put a nice relief cut in this sleeve. Keep a real close eye on it. Take off your blade, pull it through. Let's see if we can see that. You see the relief cut right there. Mangled and it's still not coming through. Just keep at it. Putting a second relief cut in. Having a hard time with this thing, so. Okay, well, I couldn't get it on camera because it just flew out. But I used a bigger hammer and a punch, and I'll show you where it flew out. Flew out right there by the front of the Civic here. Look at this thing. That's the fatter lip, so going the other way would have been much more difficult. These new bushings are pretty trick. They are in halves, obviously, so you don't have to deal with this crap ever again. Just put them in like that. You don't grease them, but you're gonna grease the inside of this when you're ready to put the sleeve through. So this is what pops out of there with a press. I highly recommend that you use a press for this. If you do, a 24mm socket is a perfect fit, and that will press that sucker out of there. And you'll see in a minute when I go down to my press that it makes a lot of noise when it's coming out. Get ready for the big noise. So it does that over and over until it comes out. It scared me to death the first time. It might be bottomed out, so I'm gonna have to bring it out and then rearrange it, but look at that. I mean, it is in there. There it is. If you're gonna redo your traction bar like me, make sure you sand off all the old crappy paint and rust, get it all out of there. Then I'm gonna wipe it with acetone and a rag by wearing gloves. And I have some old paint laying around, so I'm gonna use primer, and then I'm gonna use this wheel paint I got at Walmart for like $6 when it was on clearance. And then I had some gloss clear laying around. So I'm gonna do it in 3 steps, and I'm also gonna use a heat gun to heat that up in between coats to kind of speed up the curing process. To me, it doesn't need to be perfect, but the other one came out looking really nice. So this is the method I'm gonna use. Make sure you have ventilation, make sure you have a respirator and all the safety stuff. I'm gonna hang it from this clip right here. All right. Just hit it real good with acetone. Get all the contaminants off of here. Get it nice and warm and get it ready for the first coat of primer here in a second. All right, I'm down at the trusty press. This is basically the setup you're gonna need. You don't need a whole lot of pressure. It's more important to get it centered in there for it to slide through. Oh, come on. Go in there. Stay at it, stay at it. Just make sure it's not too contorted. You're gonna take it all the way down, bottom it out. And then I'm gonna release, and hopefully it's gonna stay in there. Come on, don't come out. Don't come out. We'll just touch it up with black paint after. Okay, you can see that once you get the lip through like that, that's good. You can take a flathead screwdriver and you can go around it and it'll pop right out. Esther's black paint pens. These are pretty handy. Just gonna go around and touch all this up that I scratched here. These Nolithane bushings come with grease. Just kind of ooze some in there. You're not supposed to put it on this outside surface, so it's supposed to just go on the inside. That's good. Tolerances are nice and tight. Get it lined up in there so it's not sticking out one side or the other. And have a rag ready to clean off these surfaces here. Okay, take your sleeve, get your rag, get all the grease off the outer surface. We are not going to torque these until the suspension is compressed. So I will hand tighten them, compress the suspension, and then fully torque them to 55 foot-pounds. Now we can bend this dust shield back, and it's not going to cover this up enough to make it a problem. You'll still be able to get a box wrench up in here and hold this nut tight when we go to torque at compression. So all I'm going to do now is try to bend this back without making it look totally wacky. And surprisingly, it'll bend back and look pretty good. You'll be very surprised that it doesn't look all mangled. What I like to do now is turn my star adjuster while the rotor's not on, just to push the pads out a little bit. And you'll know you went too far if you can't get the rotor on smoothly. And so you're gonna have to back it off a little bit. It's a lot better. And you don't want this shield to be too close. This is the time to make those adjustments right now. Let's try that. Still good. It's definitely starting to fit a little tighter on there. So I'm gonna go small here. Okay, I like that. Now, if you need to make it more adjustments, remember you bring that little window down, and you're gonna stick your screwdriver down inside there and make that adjustment. There. Take your caliper, get your hanger out of there so it doesn't get all tangled up. And then you're gonna place your pad, make sure your pads aren't hitting on here, you damage them. So you might have to compress your caliper just a little. And then go for the top bolt first. Make sure it threads. There we go. And then just hand tighten. Don't tighten all the way. Come around the bottom and wiggle this back and forth. There we go. Hand tighten. These are going to be torqued to 77 foot-pounds. 77 foot-pounds. The lower. This one's much easier. 77. Don't forget your plug, especially if you have wheel spacers. I put these ramps under, and what I'm going to do is lower the car down. Same principle applies if you're working in your driveway on jack stands. So I'll go ahead and get this lowered down and close. I'll get it aligned and I'll get the suspension compressed. Now you're going to need your torque wrench and a box wrench, 17 mil. And the torque wrench socket size will be also 17 mil, and you're going to torque these to 55. That might be better. There we go, 55 foot-pounds. There we go, 55 foot-pounds. Woo. Don't leave your wrench up in there. This is a pretty common spot for these to break. And if you are in a pinch, what you can do is take a drywall anchor and put it back there and then screw this bolt in, and it'll hold pretty nicely. So these are the old bushings. Test drive was good. The car feels very smooth and planted. I didn't notice some enormous difference or anything like it was some crazy mod, but it does feel solid. So I appreciate you joining me for this episode. Be sure to stay tuned for future episodes on my bushing refresh efforts. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, hit the like button. See you on the next one.